I think they would be very happy, meaning Shedeur Sanders and everyone around him would be very happy for him to go to a place like that with a coach like Kellen Moore, who has coached quarterbacks like Dak Prescott, like Jalen Hurts, guys who he has found ways to unlock their potential, get them comfortable. Obviously, he has to support them with offensive line play and weaponry on the perimeter and a solid running game. But what quarterback doesn't need that? What quarterback doesn't need that support? Yeah. But I just think from a fit perspective, that would be a great place for him to go. Obviously, Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, I can't imagine any quarterback not wanting to play in that organization and be a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the last thing I'll say is this.
Yes.
You know, one of the things that people told me in Colorado about Shedeur is that, look, he is someone who is so invested into quarterbacking and really trying to extract everything out of him that he wants to be in a situation where it's very collaborative, where people are open to his ideas. Obviously, he wants to be coached hard. He wants to be made great, but he wants to have his voice heard too. And it just sounds like Kellen Moore and the New Orleans Saints would be the kind of structure that would really fit him well. So if he fell to 9, I think everybody would be pretty happy surrounding Shedeur Sanders if that's what happens.
I know you were there, and his dad was like, "Oh, I love the black and gold colors, but black and yellow is Steelers." Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this post in Shedeur's story today. He has a Steelers uniform on because, of course, he's visiting them tomorrow, and he put the word legendary there. I think that's pretty cool. All right, reminder, this year's NFL Draft is in Green Bay. The 3-day event begins Thursday, April 24th. And once again, we have every pick on ESPN along with the expert analysis like you're getting here today, also available on the NFL Network. And as always, ABC's coverage focuses on the prospect's journey to the draft. Still to come, we have a special guest coming your way. Cowboys linebacker DeMarvion Overshown joins the show after this break. We are talking all things Cowboys. And there he is, Agent Zero himself. We'll be talking to him coming up on NFL Live. Really cool. It's a family journey to the draft in so many ways. And Cam Ward was not only one of the best quarterbacks in the nation last season, he also set the Miami single-season records in passing yards and touchdowns. He had 74 explosive pass plays last season, tied with Jackson Dart for most in the country. And in Mel Kiper Jr.'s 4.0 mock draft, he has Ward selected #1 overall by the Titans, pairing him with Brian Callahan, who knows a thing or two about developing quarterbacks.
Most of these guys are picked high to play, and I think the instances of, you know, the Mahomes and the Rodgers, those are very different team setups then too. There is a lack of developmental time because these guys do get thrown in so fast and they have to perform quickly. Yeah. From a development perspective, I think what you saw, even what we did with Joe Burrow, I think what you saw Cliff do with Jayden Daniels is you find as many things that you can find to where they can have success early and allow them to play fast and play confident, and you sort of fill it in as you go.
Obviously referring to Cliff Kingsbury there. Callahan has had some really good quarterbacks that he has worked with, Lewis, Burrow, and Stafford, and Peyton Manning, to name a few. Now, I know Cam Ward is a different kind of quarterback for him. How do you see these two meshing together?
Well, I think Brian said it best. Look, I think you take what a young man, you know, like Cam Ward does well, and you really try to start there and have that be his foundation, the kind of thing that he has demonstrated that he can execute successfully in the past. Then you kind of fill it in as you go. And look, Cam is super, super talented. He is a guy who can do all the things that you want a quarterback to do at the NFL level. And I think, that includes working from under center, executing the play-action passing game, the 3-step game, the 5-step timing game, changing launch points, getting outside the pocket, rolling right or left, changing arm angles. He can execute the RPO game if you need him to. He can pick up first downs with his legs. So really, that's what you want when you're talking about the first overall pick. You want a guy who has no limitations. And quite honestly, he doesn't have any limitations. So I see this being a perfect marriage on the football field. Look, any question that starts with players, to me, Hannah, you know how I am, is really just about fit and about personalities, right, and whether or not people can really get on with one another off the field, in the locker room, in the classroom, on the practice field. And I don't think there'll be any problems with that either. Look, I said my comp for Cam Ward because of the way he plays. He reminds me of Patrick. He reminds me of Mahomes, with how he can be unconventional, throw the football from all different kinds of weird angles, and then just put a bunch of horsepower on it when he needs to. And look, to me, If someone was telling me, hey, that's maybe what you're getting, I'd be pretty damn excited. Now, I'm not saying I'm exactly right, but that's my bet, that Cam Ward will have that kind of impact and play that kind of style of football in Tennessee if they happen to select him number 1.
And, Lewis, what did we hear when Patrick was coming out? How he was reckless. He had to have a head coach that would challenge him to contain a lot of those reckless plays. That's a lot of the same things we hear about with Cam Ward. You see a lot of the reckless plays, him wanting to scratch his itch for creating those explosives down the field. But I think Brian Callahan is going to find or embrace the challenge of coaching Cam Ward, just because there are going to be some head-scratching plays, but that's just the life of a playmaker under center. We see these with the top quarterbacks across the entire NFL, whether it's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. All these guys are going to make those reckless plays, but that just comes with the life of a playmaker. And I go back to that game against Cal. You see Cam Ward make the bad play in the third quarter where he goes to one side of the field and throws it all the way back across his body. But after that point, you see him engineer those drives in the fourth quarter and just make throw after throw after throw. Mm-hmm. That's the type of stuff that I believe is going to make him the number 1 overall pick, and why Brian Callahan is going to accept the challenge of coaching Cam Ward to be the quarterback that he envisions him being in the future.
You know what's crazy is their franchise has not had a number 1 overall pick since they drafted the Tyler Rose, Earl Campbell, to the Oilers back in 1978. Think about that. Wow. All right, meanwhile, let's talk about another quarterback.
Xin chào cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Vòng hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là quyền vở. Mọi người hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là túi đỏ. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nhé. Chị bỏ đi. Do mày không thể vào được cái gì. Cậu mới đặt biết tí nhau số điện thoại này. Thôi. Câu 2. Ủa sao nào nói đừng vợ nói nhanh. Nói khi vào cô bỏ thấy gì. Khi mà biết cô sợ thấy gì đây. Đây mà